The alien Academy ship Ardent Drift moved silently through the dark ocean of space. Inside its training dome, dozens of young cadets from many worlds gathered for a special lesson. The cadets had studied star maps, alien biology, and war tactics. But today, their instructor promised something different. Commander Vale stood in the center of the dome. He was tall, gray-skinned, and calm in the way only a veteran explorer could be. Behind him stood a transparent enclosure. Inside it rested a creature that made every cadet lean forward with curiosity. The creature was small but clearly dangerous. It was the cub of a predator species from a violent jungle world. Even at a young age, it had thick armored fur, sharp claws, and glowing yellow eyes. The cub suddenly lifted its head and growled. A low rumble rolled across the chamber. Several cadets shifted nervously. Commander Vale watched them carefully. "This cub," he said, "is from a species known across the frontier as one of the most aggressive predators discovered." One cadet named Rin raised a hand. "Sir, why is it here?" "Because today, you will learn something about humans," Vale replied. At the mention of humans, murmurs spread through the room. Humans were still new to the wider galaxy. Their species had only joined the interstellar community a few decades earlier, yet stories about them were already everywhere. Some stories described them as reckless explorers. Others described them as unpredictable allies, and a few described them as terrifying in battle. Another cadet named Lyra leaned forward. "What do humans have to do with that creature?" Vale gave a faint smile. "Everything." The cub inside the enclosure rose onto its feet. Its muscles rippled beneath thick fur as it paced in a slow circle. The creature suddenly looked toward the entrance of the chamber. Then it growled again. This time, the sound was louder. The door slid open. A human walked inside. He wore a simple academy uniform and carried no weapons. His name was Alex. Many cadets expected him to stay far away from the enclosure. Instead, Alex walked straight toward it. The cub immediately reacted. It crouched low and let out a sharp snarl. The cadets stiffened. Predator cubs often attacked anything that approached them. Even trained handlers used protective barriers when feeding them. Yet Alex continued walking calmly. Commander Vale said nothing. The cadets watched with growing tension. Alex stopped just outside the transparent barrier. The cub stared at him. Its eyes burned with instinctive aggression. It let out another deep growl. One cadet whispered that the human should step back. Another muttered that the cub might charge. But Alex did something unexpected. He slowly crouched down. Then he lowered his gaze. The cub tilted its head slightly. Predators usually interpreted direct eye contact as a challenge. By lowering his gaze, Alex showed calm instead of threat. The cub stopped pacing. Its growl softened into a curious rumble. The cadets exchanged confused looks. Commander Vale crossed his arms. "Watch closely," he said. Alex remained still for several seconds. Then he slowly raised one hand and placed it against the transparent barrier. The cub stepped closer. Its nose twitched. For a moment it seemed ready to snap. Instead, it sniffed the surface near Alex's hand. The growling faded. A ripple of surprise moved through the cadets. Rin whispered that the cub should not be behaving this way. Vale nodded slightly. Exactly. The cub had been raised in isolation since birth. No other species had interacted with it directly. Its instincts should have made it attack or retreat, but it did neither. Instead, it continued watching the human. Alex quietly spoke a few soft words. The cadets could not hear the exact sentence, but the tone was gentle. The cub's ears twitched. Then something happened that none of the cadets expected. The cub sat down. Complete silence filled the training dome. Lyra stared in disbelief. That creature had tried to attack its handlers only days earlier. Yet now, it simply sat and watched the human. Alex slowly stood again. He turned toward the cadets and smiled. Commander Vale finally spoke. "Cadets, what you are witnessing is not luck. It is something humans have practiced for thousands of years." Rin frowned. What skill could calm a predator like that? Vale gestured toward Alex. Empathy. The cadets looked puzzled. Vale continued speaking. On Earth, humans evolved alongside many dangerous animals. Instead of simply destroying them, humans studied them. They learned their signals, their fears, and their instincts. Alex stepped closer to the enclosure again. The cub followed his movement with calm curiosity. Vale continued. Humans learn that fear can provoke aggression, but patience and calm behavior can sometimes reshape instinct. One cadet asked if this always worked. Vale shook his head. No. Many humans have been injured attempting such things. But humans are persistent. They keep learning, adapting, trying again. Alex knelt again near the enclosure. This time the cub lay down. Its tail flicked slowly across the floor. The cadets stared in amazement. Lyra asked if the cub now trusted the human. Vale answered carefully. Trust is not instant, but curiosity is the first step. Alex gently tapped the barrier once. The cub lifted its head and gave a small rumble that almost sounded playful. Rin leaned closer to the viewing rail. Sir, why would humans take such risks? Vale's voice grew thoughtful. Because humans have a strange instinct. When they see something dangerous, they do not only think about destroying it. Many of them want to understand it. The cub suddenly stood and paced again. For a moment, the tension returned. It looked at Alex and gave another sharp growl. Several cadets flinched, but Alex did not move away. He simply stood still. The cub approached the barrier again. Its claws scraped softly against the floor. Then, it sniffed the surface again. The growl faded. The cadets slowly relaxed. Vale addressed the room. This is the lesson. Strength is not always about overpowering an enemy. Sometimes strength is the ability to remain calm when everything around you expects fear. Alex finally stepped back from the enclosure. The cub watched him go. It gave one final low rumble, but it did not sound hostile. Instead, it sounded almost disappointed. The door opened again, and Alex left the chamber. The cadets erupted into conversation. Many could not believe what they had seen. Lyra turned to the commander. Sir, do humans often interact with predators like that? Vale nodded slowly. More often than you might think? He paused before adding something important, and that is exactly why so many species respect them. The cadets listened closely. Vale continued, a species that can befriend a predator is a species that understands courage in a unique way. He looked toward the enclosure one last time. The cub had curled into a resting position. Its glowing eyes were half closed. Vale spoke quietly. One day that cub will grow into a powerful hunter. But today it learned something new. The cadets waited. Vale finished the thought. It learned that not every approaching creature is an enemy. The training dome remained silent for a long moment. Then Rin finally said something that many cadets were already thinking. Humans are strange. Commander Vale smiled slightly. Yes, but sometimes strange is exactly what the galaxy needs. Far away in the corridor outside, Alex walked calmly back toward the human quarters. He had not expected the cub to calm down so quickly, but he had recognized the signs of curiosity in its eyes. And curiosity, he knew, was often stronger than fear. Behind him, the Academy ship continued its journey through the stars. Inside the training dome, the cadets would remember the lesson for the rest of their careers. Not because they saw a predator growl at a human, but because they saw what happened next. And that moment changed the way they understood humanity. If you want, I can also help you with YouTube narration version with better pacing for an 8-minute video hook plus intro for higher retention title optimized for viral HFY videos thumbnail text idea. Just tell me.